Disruption and the rise of the empowered workforce are rewriting the rules of work almost daily. Leaders are frustrated, confused, and fatigued. Even in light of this, our guest expert says that leaders are still focusing on the wrong things and asking the wrong questions. We're talking today to Kim Seeling Smith, CEO and founder of Ignite Global, who helps organizations build and retain a future-fit workforce to reach their commercial goals, create extraordinary cultures, and thrive in the post-pandemic world. Kim, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Angelique.
So let's start with the big question. How does a future-fit workforce differ from a pre-pandemic workforce?
Oh, I love that question. The research shows that there are three main disruptions that are occurring in the post-pandemic world that are informing the future of work. The first one is the accelerated implementation of technology. As we automate more and more tasks, it's changing the shape of our roles so quickly. The second one is the big societal stuff that's going on, the shifting geopolitical landscape, climate change, supply chain disruption, and the social justice reckoning that's happening. That's requiring organizations and individuals to be very agile, very nimble. But the third disruption, that's actually the most significant disruption of them all. The third disruption is the rise of the empowered workforce. We are in the midst of a critical skill shortage. There's more jobs than candidates to fill them, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Plus the fact that we've had years now of pandemic-induced reflection. So people become very clear on what they want, what they don't, and they're willing to vote with their feet. So the future-fit workforce is a workforce that's capable and empowered. Capable because they have the abilities to be able to overcome the challenges and seize the opportunities that these three disruptions present, but empowered because they're empowered by the leaders and the organizations that they work for.
Wow, pandemic-induced reflection. Now, Kim, you're often asked by major media in both the United States and Australia to come and talk about the future of work. What are you saying to them when it comes to how the pandemic has affected these shifts? And how are these shifts in turn affecting organizations and, most importantly, senior leaders in the C-suite?
Absolutely, because they're playing off one another. You know, these trends have been building for a very long time. In my book, Mind Reading for Managers, I talk about one of them, the rise of the purpose-driven organization. So over the last 20 to 30 years, these trends have just been slowly building momentum and gathering strength. And then, Friday the 13th of March 2020, COVID hit, and whoosh, we were asked, for those of us who could work from home, we were asked to work from home. And the change in where, when, and how we worked accelerated these other trends that had been building for so long. And now, as you said, leaders are frustrated, confused, they're exhausted. And many are afraid of failing or having their businesses fail, even though they may not talk about that. And we're already seeing the canaries in the coal mine. Businesses are falling over because they're not able to attract and retain the right teams that they need. So, in my work with Richard Branson's 100% Human at Work initiative, what I've noticed is that as opposed to falling back into comfort and safety, the way things used to be, the leaders that are thriving through this time are the leaders that are taking big, bold action. Big, bold action that I like to say in the future of work, my mantra is the 3 R's. We need to reimagine. A lot of our practices that we've been doing for centuries just aren't working anymore. We need to reimagine them, and then we need to reap the benefits of those that are working and reset those that aren't.
Kim, this seems like a huge problem. I also know you spend a lot of time at conferences speaking to audiences. I've heard you speak, and you maintain that building and retaining a future-fit workforce doesn't have to be difficult.
It doesn't. You know, I'm a keep it simple kind of gal. In fact, some of my clients are now teasing me that I should rebrand the KISS principle into the Kim Seeling Smith principle, because we tend to overcomplicate. Solving these challenges doesn't have to be hard if we ask the right questions. I was recently hosting an executive roundtable with a handful of chief executives from organizations, and we spent 10 minutes talking about, well, rolling out a hybrid work arrangement? What's the right answer? Should we require them to come into the office 2 days a week or 3? Well, I was finally able to steer the conversation into asking better questions, because that's an old school question. Instead, let's ask, what does work look like in our new normal? And what work needs to be done in the office with other people? What work needs to be done by themselves? But even more importantly, let's ask ourselves the question, how can we operate differently if we actually reset that relationship between organization and individual, instead of the centuries-old paradigm where people needed to be monitored, they couldn't be trusted. What if we treated them as the adults that they are? What if we held high standards for them and expected them not only to achieve them, but to want to achieve them, to want to add value every single day? What if we collaborated and consulted with them to help us solve these challenges? What would be possible then? When I start to work with organizations, I always start at the strategic level. What are your strategic initiatives? Because the commercial goals have to be met. And then I help them ask themselves the right questions. The strategies to accomplish these things, they fall out of the right questions. It takes a little bit more time, but people have more fun on the journey and they have much more ownership and buy-in.
Such profound insights. I can certainly see why you were recently named one of the, I want to get this right, 101 global influencers on employee engagement.
Exactly.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
much
you.
there. You've shared tons of important insights today. If you could offer one specific step to leaders to take right now after listening to this conversation, what would that be?
Angelique, that's an easy one. You know, so many organizations are being affected by the Great Resignation or the Great Reshuffle. And I have created an insights paper called The 9 Keys to Avoid the Great Resignation, based on over 5,000 exit interviews, which I reverse engineered. So we've taken the guesswork out of employee engagement and retention. That insights paper, available free on my website.
Kim, this has been a fascinating discussion. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Angelique.
My advice for everyone watching this is to go online right now at igniteglobal.com to download that cheat sheet. And if you're interested in speaking with Kim and her team about how Ignite Global can help you build and retain a future fit workforce, you can reach them at info@igniteglobal.com. I'd also encourage you to connect with Kim on LinkedIn. She's the only Kim Seeling Smith on the planet. Kim, again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.